Sir, the total comes to $88,888. When a manager in the tuxedo handed over the gold embossed bill, the silence in the VIP suite was deafening. Carter Vance, the supposed multi-millionaire who was treating everyone tonight, had gone to the restroom. That was 30 minutes ago. His phone was off. He had vanished into thin air. Then, the suite doors were blocked from the outside by two massive bouncers. "Come on, Caleb, sit right here," Carter had said earlier, his face flushed with excitement as he pulled out the chair next to him. Caleb Stone had felt out of place. He was wearing his company-issued polo shirt, faded from too many washes, a stark contrast to the gilded opulence of the Elysium. The classmates around him were decked out in designer suits and jewelry. Everyone was subtly flashing Rolexes, Gucci bags, and car keys that accidentally ended up on the table. Caleb subconsciously shoved his hands into his pockets. Inside, he had exactly $30 in cash and a phone with a cracked screen. "Carter, looking good. Treating us at the Elysium? You must have hit the jackpot," said Brad Tank Miller. Tank had been the class bully back in the day. Now, he sported a beer gut and a gold chain the thickness of a finger around his neck, making no effort to hide his nouveau riche vibe. He shot a sideways glance at Caleb and sneered. "You bet," Carter said, thumping his chest, his voice booming. "Closed a deal in Dubai recently. Made a little pocket money. We're all old friends here, don't be shy. Order whatever you want. It's on me." "Hell yeah. Carter's the man." Cheers erupted around the room. Tank grabbed the menu and shouted, "Waiter, bring us the most expensive stuff you have." He shot a contemptuous look at Caleb, "Especially that Australian lobster, the Japanese A5 Wagyu, and let's start with 2 bottles of that 82 Lafite to rinse our mouths." Caleb frowned. He knew Tank was doing this on purpose. In high school, Tank targeted him because he was poor. Years later, nothing had changed. "Tank, take it easy. We're just here to catch up," Caleb said quietly. Tank looked at him like he'd told the world's biggest joke. "Oh, Caleb, does her heart hurt? Afraid our CEO Vance can't pay." He turned to Carter, shouting theatrically, "Carter, look, someone doesn't trust your bank account." Carter laughed heartily, waving his hand dismissively. "Tank, don't say that. Caleb's my brother. He's just trying to save me money." He patted Caleb's shoulder and leaned in close. "It's fine, brother. Eat your fill today. Forget 80 grand. Even 800 grand wouldn't break me." His tone was sincere, his eyes full of encouragement. Caleb's unease dissipated slightly. Maybe he was being too sensitive. Carter really had made it and just wanted to celebrate. Sitting across from a main seat was Serena Sterling, the class beauty. She had grown into a stunning woman with an icy elegance. She hadn't said much all night, just quietly sipping her tea. Now, she glanced coolly at Tank. "It's just ordering dinner. You don't need to shout." Tank choked on his words, his face souring. He'd always had a thing for Serena. Seeing the goddess speak up, he couldn't retort, so he sat down resentfully. Soon, exquisite dishes flowed in like water. The atmosphere heated up. Between toasts, people started bragging about their lives. Who bought how many investment properties, whose company was going public, whose kid got into which elite private school. Caleb ate silently. He couldn't join these conversations. With a salary of $3,000 a month, barely scraping by after rent, he was an alien here. "Caleb, where are you working these days?" Tank wasn't letting him go, aiming the spearhead right at him again. Everyone's eyes focused on Caleb. Caleb put down his chopsticks and said calmly, "I'm a clerk at a small logistics firm." "A clerk?" Tank's voice rose again. "Do you even make $5 grand a month?" He emphasized $5 grand with dripping sarcasm. Before Caleb could answer, Carter wrapped an arm around his shoulder. "Tank, what's that supposed to mean? Looking down on Caleb? Let me tell you, that's not just a clerk job. That's stability. Stability beats everything, get it? Besides, what is money? Can money measure the bond between brothers?" Carter's speech was righteous. Tank shut up immediately. Caleb felt a surge of warmth. He looked at Carter gratefully. Carter winked at him and poured him a drink. "Come on, brother, drink." 3 rounds of drinks later, Tank started acting up again. He pointed to a 6-figure wine on the menu. "Carter, that Lafite was weak. How about we try this?" Everyone gasped. That bottle cost more than some people's annual salary. Caleb's heart jumped into his throat. This was insane, but Carter didn't even frown. "Order it." "Absolutely. Tonight is about treating my brothers right. Waiter, bring the wine." Thunderous cheers erupted again. Tank looked at Caleb with provocation and triumph. "See that? This is the gap between you and me." Caleb ignored him, but felt a knot in his chest. This reunion had turned sour. It wasn't about catching up. It was a naked display of wealth and humiliation, and he was the prop being used. A while later, Carter stood up. I need to hit the head. You guys keep drinking. He walked out, his steps slightly unsteady. Tank was bragging about his new Porsche. Serena was looking at her phone, indifferent. Time ticked by. 10 minutes. 20 minutes. Half an hour. Carter hadn't returned. Someone sensed something was wrong. Why has Carter been gone so long? Yeah, did he pass out in a stall? Tank waved his hand impatiently. Who cares? He's a big boss, busy man. Probably closing $1 million deal on the toilet. Come on, keep drinking. Just then, the suite door was pushed open. It wasn't Carter. It was the hotel manager in a crisp tuxedo, wearing white gloves. He wore a professional smile that sent a chill down everyone's spine. The manager walked to the table, bowed slightly, and placed a leather-bound bill folder gently on the Lazy Susan. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The total consumption for tonight is $88,888. Who will be settling the bill? $88,888. The number exploded like a bomb in everyone's ears. The suite went dead silent. The noise froze. Everyone stared wide-eyed at the black folder. Tank's drunkenness vanished instantly. He stammered, how much? The manager maintained his impeccable smile. Sir, a total of $88,888. We've waived the cents. Tank's face went sheet white. He loved to brag, but his net worth was only in the low millions of assets. Liquidating nearly $100,000 for a single meal was like cutting off a limb. Impossible. How can it be that much? A female classmate shrieked. The manager smiled, taking a tablet from an assistant. Ma'am, here is your itemized receipt. The Almas caviar for 1,000 ounce. Mr. Miller's order of a 1990 Romanicani, 36,000 a bottle, and you ordered 2. Plus the Screaming Eagle Cabernet, and, as the manager read each item, faces turned paler. Most of these were ordered by Tank, egged on by Carter, to show off in front of Caleb. The arrogance of the order had turned into pure panic. Where's the guy paying? Tank panicked, looking around. Where's Carter? Isn't he treating? Where is he? Right, where's Carter? Call him. Someone pulled out a phone. The subscriber you have dialed is powered off. The cold automated voice answered. Another person tried. Powered off. Everyone tried. Same result. Carter was gone. Panic spread like a plague. Did he bail? Impossible. Carter is a big boss. Why would he skip on a meal? But why is his phone off? Cold sweat dripped from Tank's forehead. He forced a calm facade. Wait a minute, our boss. Our classmate, his phone probably died. He'll be back. The manager's smile remained polite, but the 2 bouncers behind him, 6'4", rippling with muscle, took a step forward. The movement silently declared the hotel's stance. No one leaves until the money is on the table. Carter invited us. Why should we pay? Tank roared, his voice cracking with false bravado. The manager replied politely, Sir, Mr. Vance did reserve a suite, but he did not put down a deposit. According to our policy, if the host is absent, the guests present are jointly liable for the consumption. Jointly liable? Tank's eyes nearly popped out. $88,000. Including Caleb and Serena, there were 12 people. That was over $7,000 a person. Most people here were pretending to be high rollers, but asking them to cough up $7,000 on the spot was like drawing blood. Why? I didn't order the expensive stuff. Right. Tank ordered all the expensive stuff. Exactly. Whoever ordered it pays for it. The fence-sitters immediately turned their guns on Tank. The people calling him Brother Tank moments ago now looked ready to eat him alive. Tank shook with rage. Bullshit. I only ordered because Carter said he was paying. You all ate and drank it too. Why should I pay alone? He grabbed Jerry, the guy who'd been toasting him the hardest. Jerry, you drank that Romanicani. 1 sip was hundreds of dollars. Dare you say you didn't? Jerry's face turned purple, stammering in his silence. The scene devolved into chaos. Accusations flew. People pushed responsibility, looking ugly. The polished social elites tore off their masks over money, revealing their worst sides. Caleb hadn't spoken. He watched coldly. The farce was absurd yet realistic. He felt no panic, only a cold calm. From the moment Carter vanished, he had guessed something. This was a setup, a trap for everyone, and Carter was the hunter. Why? Caleb couldn't figure it out. Just then, Tank's vicious gaze landed on him. Caleb. Tank grabbed at a straw, rushing to Caleb. You ate the least and talked the least. Are you in on it with Carter? The accusation was venomous. Everyone's eyes shifted from Tank to Caleb. Right? Caleb had been quiet. Carter had defended him. Were they colluding? Suspicion grew like weeds. Yeah. Carter kept standing up for you. You definitely knew he was going to run. Speak. Are you two trying to scam us? The mob surrounded Caleb, fueled by indignation. They were afraid of Tank, so they vented their fury on Caleb, who looked like the easiest target. Caleb looked at his former classmates, faces twisted by greed and fear. They looked like strangers. He found it laughable. He looked up, meeting Tank's gaze, and spoke clearly. I ordered a cucumber salad, kung pao chicken, and tomato egg soup. Total, $24.50. His voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the noise. You ordered wine worth $36,000. You ate caviar worth thousands a spoon. Now, you want me to pay for your vanity and stupidity. Caleb's eyes swept over everyone. Do you deserve that? The last words hit hard. The suite fell silent again. Everyone was stunned by the sudden aura erupting from Caleb. Was this the submissive, quiet Caleb Stone? Tank's face flashed red and white. Caleb's look stung him, a mix of contempt and pity he'd never seen before. What the hell did you say? Humiliated and angry, Tank raised his hand to slap Caleb across the face. However, his wrist was caught in midair, caught by a slender but firm hand. Serena. She had appeared beside Caleb, looking coldly at Tank. He's right. The items on the bill exceeding $80,000 were ordered by you alone. You should pay for them. Serena's voice was soft, but every word was an ice pick stabbing Tank's heart. Tank looked at her in disbelief. Serena, you're helping him. In his mind, Serena was a goddess. His performance tonight was half to humiliate Caleb, half to impress her. But now, she stood against him, defending the person he despised most. The frustration and jealousy shattered his reason. Me? Why me? Tank flung Serena's hand away, pointing at everyone. You all ate and drank. No one leaves. Either we split it, or no one walks out of this door. He had gone completely mad. Tank, calm down. Jerry tried to persuade him. Calm down my ass. Tank shoved Jerry. When you were cheering me on, why didn't you tell me to calm down? Now you want to dump me? No way. He revealed his true scoundrel nature. The manager's smile finally vanished. He whispered into his headset. The two bouncers at the door slowly drew black rubber batons. The atmosphere was explosive. I will say this once. The manager's voice turned cold. We do not accept credit. If you cannot settle the bill, we will call the police. Police. Everyone panicked. Going to the station over a meal? Their reputations would be ruined. And since it was a civil dispute, the police would just mediate. They'd still have to pay. Let's ship in. Someone whispered. We have to. What else can we do? Damn it, what bad luck. Reluctantly, they realized it was the only way. Tank sneered triumphantly. He knew no one dared to truly cut ties with him completely. Split it evenly. He decided. 88,000. 12 people. 7,400 each. No. A female classmate objected. I only make 3,000 a month. I don't have 7 grand. Me neither. My mortgage is killing me. Tank, you order the expensive stuff. You pay the bulk. Right? You pay the majority. The war reignited. Caleb watched from the sidelines. Pathetic. Suddenly, Serena spoke again. Stop arguing. She pulled a black card from her Hermes bag and handed it to the manager. Put on my card. Silence. Everyone stared at Serena in shock. It was a Centurion card. The black card. Unlimited spending power. Tank's eyes nearly fell out. He thought she was just a well-off office worker, not a hidden tycoon. His gold chain felt like a joke compared to that card. A wave of shame washed over him. He was a clown in her eyes. Serena, how can we? Yeah, thank you so much, Serena. The classmates who were just arguing put on fawning faces immediately. The manager took the card, his respect deepening. Certainly, ma'am. One moment. He turned to swipe it. Wait. Caleb spoke suddenly. Everyone looked at him. Serena looked at him, puzzled. Caleb walked up to Serena and pushed the black card back to her. Your money is still money. He looked at her, eyes clear and firm. You shouldn't have to pay this. Then he turned to Tank and the others. I said before, I only recognize the $24.50 I ordered. That is my bottom line. As for your bill, figure out yourselves. He pulled 30 crumpled dollars from his pocket and slapped them on the table. That's my share. Keep the change. Then, he turned and walked straight for the door. His movements were crisp, without hesitation. Everyone was stunned. They didn't expect the man who looked the weakest to have the hardest backbone. Stop. Tank snapped out of it and roared. How could he let Caleb walk away looking cool? That was a slap at his face. You think you can leave? Not that easy. Tank lunged, reaching for Caleb's shoulder. The two security guards moved to intercept. Sir, calm down. But Tank was frantic. He shoved the guard aside and swung a haymaker right at the back of Caleb's head. Fuck you. If that punch landed, it would cause serious damage. Serena gasped. However, it was as if Caleb had eyes in the back of his head. Without turning, he simply sidestepped, easily dodging Tank's fist. Simultaneously, he backhanded a grip onto Tank's wrist, pulled him forward, and swept his leg. Thud! Tank's 200-pound frame lost balance and slammed face-first onto the floor in a humiliating sprawl. The entire sequence was fluid, too fast to track. Caleb hadn't even fully turned around. He simply held Tank's wrist, pinning him to the ground, immobile. A cold voice dropped from his lips. "You want to fight? I'm game." The suite was deadly silent, save for Tank's heavy breathing from pain and humiliation. Everyone looked at Caleb like he was a monster. How did this frail-looking clerk possess such terrifying skill? A flicker of wonder crossed Serena's eyes. The Caleb she knew was quiet, introverted. But this man was calm, decisive, radiating a dangerous edge. Like a legendary sword finally unsheathed. The manager was stunned too. He signaled the security. The guards moved to separate them. But just then, the suite doors burst open again. A squad of uniformed officers with riot shields stormed in. The lead officer, eyes sharp as eagles, shouted, "Police! Nobody move! Hands on your heads, get down!" Red and blue strobe lights flickered in the luxurious room. The tension was instantly replaced by authority. Tank forgot his pain, released his grip, and squatted down with hands on his head like everyone else. He was a bully, but he didn't dare fight the cops. Caleb was the last to squat. He released Tank, stood slowly, then calmly complied. His expression hadn't changed, as if none of this concerned him. The lead officer, Detective Riggs, was a veteran. He scanned the room, landing on the manager. "What's going on?" The manager quickly explained, omitting Tank's first strike, framing it as a dispute over the bill. Riggs frowned. A $100,000 dispute was no small matter. "Let me see the bill." He glanced at it, eyebrows twitching. He'd seen crazy cases, but a dinner costing nearly six figures was a new one. "Where's the host?" "Ran. Phone off," the manager replied. Riggs looked at the squatting group. "Who is Brad Miller? Who is Caleb Stone?" "Here." Both answered. "You two, come to the station for a statement. The rest of you, come along for questioning." Riggs waved his hand. The classmates looked ashen. A reunion ending in a police station? If word got out, they were finished. Tank regretted everything. Only Serena remained calm. She stood up. "Officer, I saw how this started. I can testify." Riggs nodded. "You come too." In the interrogation room, the light was harsh. Caleb sat opposite Riggs and a young recorder. "Name, age, occupation." "Caleb Stone, 28, clerk." "Tell me what happened." Caleb recounted everything objectively, from the invitation to the bill, Carter's disappearance, Tank's provocation, and the fight. He added nothing, hid nothing. Riggs watched him closely. The kid was too calm. Heart rate steady, breathing even. Not typical for a clerk. "You suspect this was a setup by Carter Vance?" Riggs asked. "Yes. It was too orchestrated. He knew everyone's personality. He used Tank's vanity, the other's greed, and my poverty and silence." "Why?" Caleb paused. "I don't know. We haven't spoken since college. But my gut says, revenge. Revenge against everyone." The door opened. A young cop peeked in, looking weird. "Detective, we got Carter Vance's file." "Speak." "Carter Vance, a.k.a. Carter Hill, 29, local. But," the cop paused, "his credit is trashed. 3 years ago, his dad's business failed. He committed suicide, leaving millions in debt. Everything Carter had was seized. He's on the blacklist for bankruptcy fraud. He's not a Dubai tycoon. He's broke. A total deadbeat." The news was a bombshell. A bankrupt con man throwing $100,000 banquet. Where did the money come from? Riggs' expression darkened. "Where is he?" "We tracked him on city cams. He got into an unlicensed cab outside the Elysium and vanished in the suburbs." "Blind spot. We lost him." "Detective," the young cop added, "we found a burner phone in the hotel bathroom. Forensics says it was Carter's." "It has." An unsent voice recording. He handed over an evidence bag. Riggs played it. A raspy, repressed voice filled the room. "Tank, Jerry, and you high and mighty classmates. Do you remember Tommy Hill?" A strange name. Caleb searched his memory. Tommy Hill, the quiet kid with a stutter. Tank bullied him relentlessly. He dropped out senior year. The recording continued with a chilling laugh. "You don't remember. You only remember stealing his financial aid, throwing his books in the toilet, making him bark like a dog. You had fun, right? That money was for his mother's surgery. She died. He dropped out. Then, he died too. Froze to death under a bridge." Silence. Caleb's heart sank. He remembered now. Carter was the only one who defended Tommy. They were friends. "Tommy Hill was me." Carter's voice returned, terrifyingly calm. "My real name is Carter Hill. I changed it to Vance. I swore to rise up and come back for you. I spent 10 years climbing, thought I made it. But fate is a joke. I ended up poorer than before. But it doesn't matter. I have brains. Tonight is my gift. $88,000. That's the price for Tommy's life. Enjoy it. While you tear each other apart over money, I'll be watching. The recording ended. Dead silence. It wasn't a dispute. It was a 10-year revenge plot. Carter used their own greed as the weapon. Riggs looked grim. This was psychological warfare. Detective, what about the bill? The young cop asked. Riggs rubbed his temples. Legally, they had to pay. But Caleb spoke up. Detective, I have a theory about the bill. Go on. For a bankrupt fraudster to book a VIP suite at the Elysium with no deposit and order that much wine. It defies logic, unless the hotel isn't on it. Riggs' eyes lit up. You mean collusion? Yes. Maybe Carter paid a small bribe, promised a spectacle that would make the Elysium famous. Or the bill is fake. Riggs snapped. Check the Elysium's logs immediately. Audit the manager's accounts. An hour later, the young cop ran back in. Caleb was right. No Romani Conti left inventory. The bill was printed by the manager personally. He got a $5,000 crypto transfer 3 days ago. It's a scam within a scam. Truth revealed. Carter used $5,000 to leverage a fake $88,000 nightmare. Riggs called the other room. Bring in Brad Miller. Tank was dragged in, looking defeated. Riggs slammed the report down. Look, when Tank saw fake bill and collusion, his eyes bulged. Fake. He realized his humiliation was for nothing. He was a clown performing for an empty theater. The stress, the fear of debt, the public shaming, it all crashed down at once. Puffed. Tank gasped violently, his face turning a deep, sickly red. He clutched his chest, unable to breathe, his eyes rolling back in his head. The extreme emotional swing was too much for his system. He collapsed backward, hitting the floor with a heavy thud, convulsing slightly before going still. Call an ambulance. Because the hotel was complicit, the bill was voided. Everyone was released at dawn. They walked out in silence. The friendship was dead. Caleb walked out last. A red Porsche pulled up. Serena, get in. I'll drive you. Caleb hesitated, then got in. You changed, Serena said softly. People change. I think you just stop hiding who you are. She looked at him. Who are you, really? Just a clerk? A clerk who spots a conspiracy and drops a guy twice his size. Caleb sighed. I served. Rangers. Special ops. I've seen things. Serena fell silent. I'm sorry for not standing up sooner. You stood up and Caleb, she said seriously as she dropped him off. This isn't over. The Elysium's owner, Victor Vane, is dangerous. He won't like that you exposed his scam. Be careful. She handed him a card. Call if you need help. Caleb watched her drive away. He turned to his apartment door and froze. Stuck in his lock was a steel needle. Under the door, a card with a smiley face drawn in blood. A warning. Caleb's eyes turned cold. The blood was fresh. Caleb didn't enter immediately. He listened. Silence. He used a plastic card to shim the lock. Old habits. He entered stealthily. On the floor, a faint wet spot. Chloroform. Someone had been here. He found a photo under his pillow. His mother. On the back, written in red. Family is off limits. Usually. Next time, maybe not. Rage, hot and white, ignited in his chest. Victor Vane had crossed the line. Caleb called his mom immediately. Mom, I want a company trip for families to Hawaii. Pack up, you and Dad go tomorrow. It's paid for. He needed them safe. Then, he sat in the dark. Waiting. Midnight. Footsteps. 3 men. They bypassed the lock electronically. They entered in formation. Gas masks, knives. Caleb moved. He emerged from the shadows like a phantom. He choked out the first guy in 1 second. Crack. Unconscious. The other 2 turned. Caleb blinded one with their own pepper spray. The third tried to run. Caleb tripped him with a lamp cord and stomped on his chest. 30 seconds. 3 assassins down. Caleb held a knife to the leader's throat. Who sent you? Victor Vane, the Elysium owner. Just to scare you. Scare me with chloroform and knives? Caleb pressed the blade. We were supposed to kidnap you. How many outside? 1 driver. Black van. Caleb tied them up. He looked out the window. The van was there. He didn't call the police. That was too slow. He called Gunner. Gunner, it's Caleb. Boss, you're alive. I need to clean up on aisle 4. And I need a dossier on Victor Vane. On it. Gunner arrived with the crew. They bagged the assassins and the driver quietly. What about Vane? Gunner asked. I'm going to destroy him. Piece by piece. Next day, Caleb went to work. Rumors swirled, but he ignored them. Gunner sent the file. Victor Vane ran the Royal Flush, an illegal casino and drug den. He had corrupt officials in his pocket. Don't give this to the cops yet, Caleb ordered. We hit him where it hurts. That night, at the Royal Flush, Victor Vane was sweating. His hit squad was missing. Suddenly, a raid. Not local cops, feds. Someone tipped them off with precise locations of his books and stash houses. Boss, the warehouse is raided. Boss, the accounts are frozen. Vane's empire was collapsing in real time. His phone rang. Unknown number. Hello. Mr. Vane. An ideally calm voice. Who is this? I have you, man, and I have the rest of the evidence. Meet me at the abandoned construction site in East End. Alone, where the DA gets the video of your men confessing to murder. Vane drove to the site, terrified and furious. He took a gun. He climbed to the roof. A phone was playing a video of his men spilling every secret. Turn around. Van Ispoon. Caleb stood there. You? The clerk? Vane screamed, his eyes bloodshot. How can it be you? Why can't it be me? Caleb asked, stepping forward calmly. You threatened my mother. Now you have nothing. You ruined me. Vane's hand shook, the gun trembling in his grip. He looked at Caleb, and then at the bleak, empty skyline. The reality of his situation crashed down on him. His empire was gone. His connections were severed. He was facing life in prison, or worse. Suddenly, the rage drained out of him, replaced by a crushing despair. His knees gave way, and he collapsed onto the dirty concrete. I was wrong. Mister. Stone, please. Vane dropped the gun and crawled toward Caleb, tears streaming down his face. I was wrong. Please give me a chance. I have money stash accounts overseas. Mio, I'll give it all to you. I'll leave the country tonight. You'll never see me again. He grabbed the hem of Caleb's pants, sobbing uncontrollably. Please, just let me go. I beg you. Caleb looked down at the sobbing crime lord with eyes devoid of warmth. It's too late for that. The evidence is already with the authorities and the press. Vane froze, the hope in his eyes extinguished, replaced by a feral madness. He let out a guttural scream, scrambling back to grab the gun he had dropped. Then die with me. Vane roared, raising the weapon. Caleb didn't flinch. As Vane pulled the trigger, Caleb's hand moved in a blur. He caught the slide of the pistol, jamming his thumb between the hammer and the firing pin. Click! The gun didn't fire. Vane stared in horror. Before he could react, Caleb twisted the weapon violently. Crack! The sound of metal warping mixed with the sickening snap of Vane's trigger finger breaking. Vane howled in agony, clutching his mangled hand. Caleb tossed the useless gun aside. You're done, Victor, Caleb said, his voice final. He turned his back on the broken man and walked toward the stairwell. Vane knelt on the edge of the roof, cradling his hand, staring into the abyss below. He laughed, a broken, wheezing sound. Karma. It's all karma. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting louder. Vane looked at the approaching red and blue lights, then at the dark drop beneath him. He spread his arms like a bird with broken wings. See you in hell, he whispered, and leaped in the void. Caleb walked out of the construction site. Gunnar was waiting by the car. It's over, boss. We sent the package to the station. Caleb nodded. The night air was cool. He checked his phone. A text message from an unknown number. Transfer, $24.50. Message. You that share, return to you. We are even. Carter. Caleb stared at the screen for a long moment. Carter, or rather, Tommy, had kept his last shred of principle. Caleb deleted the message. He looked up. A red Porsche was parked under a streetlight nearby. Serena flashed the headlights. Caleb smiled, a genuine smile this time. He walked toward the light. Part 2. Mandatory separators.